back over on the Genshin subreddit, and another post with Billy comments kindly reposted and translated by Boy King. The post titled, CN Billy Community, Reaction to Paimon VA TikTok Crashout. So yeah, you know this is going to be a good one. Let's take a look at what the CN community has to say, starting here. At Hoyo/Genshin's official account, please change Paimon's English VA. Everyone will be happy. I'll even do another 6 months of battle passes if you want. I'll top up too if they do.
My God.
If I were an Ian Dub enjoyer and have to listen to this rap.
Oh my God, they're saying that they're gonna gem up if they do that. Oh my God, dude, they're gonna buy.
With the game. What a voice. It's like a desperate mouse that got pressed onto a grill. What?
Why do they keep saying that? Why do they keep saying the fucking mouse on the grill thing? That's like the second person that said that.
It's like a desperate mouse that got pressed onto a grill by a piece of bread. That's so fucked up. And slowly gets made into a sandwich. Oh man, look at this one. I usually don't attack people based on their appearance, but I didn't ask her to attack me with her appearance either. Ugh.
That's so fucked up.
Paimon is so angry, Paimon is going to give you an ugly nickname. I'm going to call you Angry Balloon because you're squeaking nonstop. You really want to fly high and you're also so empty, but full of it too.
This is so messed
With the response reading, EN community's culture of binding characters with their VAs was probably created by the union themselves, so they can use this to pressure the gaming companies to pay their protection fees, or else they'll create drama. A smaller company probably would have bent the knee, but this is Hoyo, and they don't care, lol. I'm getting mad just watching this. These VAs are destroying the characters. Hoyo's future contracts should include a rule like VAs are not allowed to refer to their voice characters as themselves.
That just seems so obvious to me. This is so weird.
For us to split the boundary between character and VA.
Just become a VTuber. You know, if that's what you want, just be a VTuber. We have the technology. If you want to like voice act as like a character that's like your own, go like make an OC donut steal. Like don't go hijacking like other people's characters and like saying it's yours when that's like your entire job is to like bring a voice to them. That's it.
Supporting this, it should create a different. Oh yeah, so this would be like a worst case scenario for the union VAs.
I think it's a point of pride to be like, I'm the voice of X character. Yeah, but then like basically referring to them as like you when you're trying to make like a statement about something is like really fucking annoying.
If the CN community gets this involved, that they start going to Hoyoverse about all this, it's really quite impressive that the union VAs managed to make this all such a mess. You're not a refrigerator, you can't freeze stuff, therefore you can't comment on fridges. Note, this is a common analogy in CN, usually related to whether someone can/should comment on someone, usually a public figure, or not. It's also directly related to what Paimon's VA said in that video. That whole thing of like, oh, you guys and the YouTubers are not voice actors, and you can't comment on any of the voice actor stuff. That, of course, is paraphrased, and to be quite frank, also a lot nicer than the way Paimon's VA put it. Hoyo can just switch out this faulty fridge called Corina. If the fridge keeps malfunctioning, replacing it would be the best choice. A classic
Seems like some Chinese...
A fool really jumped out on April Fool's Day, huh? You're all welcome to try out CN Paimon dub. Agree, CN Paimon is so cute. Dang, Hoyo gives her the money comes from the players, and somehow she manages to piss all of us off.
That's
Hoyo
really the bottom line there.
Money. Hoyo just signs a contract with the agency, and it's the agency that pays the VAs. Well, who gives the money to the agencies then?
Yup.
Yeah, but she still messed up with the client. In the next part of this video, I have a few updates regarding union defending voice actors, advocating for the harassment of others, and arguably even advocating for violence. On top of this already being crazy by default, it's especially noteworthy as well because there were a number of these union defending VAs and their supporters denying that this is happening, saying, oh, no one's advocating for harassment, no one's harassing Jacob Takanashi or anyone else or advocating for it. But in actuality, yes, some of them are. This is something I discussed in a prior video, but I've got even more examples of that occurring. So let's take a look, starting with this post over on Blue Sky from the voice actor Aiden Rudd. He says, just saying. We should be publicly meaner to scabs, specifically ones who take the roles of those who are striking. You do that, I don't care what your reasoning is. You're a bad person. He gets a response from another voice actor, that being Zane Shachatter, however you say his name. This is someone we discussed briefly in a prior video, as they also had a post advocating for harassment. For anyone who may have missed it, I'll show you what that was after we go over this stuff. But anyways, we can see him say, everyone forgets that one of the big parts of union culture is being real freaking mean to scabs.
Cool.
Those are people who betrayed their fellow workers, and they need to be reminded of it. You know what's funny is this person to begin with doesn't really work anyways, at least in the VA industry, according to his credits. For example, if you go on behindthevoiceactors.com, the only credit he has is from 2019 as Lorson from AFK Arena. But anyways, going back to Aiden Rudd, he then makes this response to Zane, which says, unions had mob ties and would actively assault scabs in the 60s. And now we're just like, oh, please don't think I'm the bad guy for being robbed by this opportunistic clown. I'm not saying we should assault people, but like, this is an instance where shaming is good. So yeah, we got some real tough guys here. Real great look for these guys. I'm sure it's going to go real well for them saying stuff like this over on Blue Sky. Now, I also mentioned that we would return to some more posts by that Zane Shachat person. For additional context to anyone who may have missed the prior post that he made that we went over a few days ago, we can see that he said, much like how a tolerant group must still be intolerant towards intolerance, a cornerstone of union culture is making sure that scabs, regardless of any sort of legal justifications for what they did, feel constant scorn, shame, and derision for willingly betraying their fellow workers. Piss off. But he wasn't done there, adding these posts that say, if you screw over your fellow workers, I will not give you the benefit of the doubt. I do not respect you. I do not like you. I will not support anything you're involved with. Oh, wow, what a threat. And it is especially because you are involved. I will treat you like the backstabbing rat you are. Ooh, woo, he lives in Japan.
God, dude.
And so maybe he doesn't know about the strike. Also, technically,
this guy really put his fedora on
very
for this
likely
one.
Referencing what people were saying about Jacob Takanashi and the message he had with Auroran's VA. And then he ends his post by raging some more. He sounds so lame that I'm not even going to repeat that, but there you go on screen.
I'll read it. Ooh, he lives in Japan, so maybe he didn't know about the strike. Also, technically, he doesn't have to. Sounds like a lot of words to say this wannabe punk bitch fuckboy is a fucking scab.
And we'll end with something funny. Do you remember that Sean Laraway person, that voice actor who people alleged made damage control posts on the Genshin Impact subreddit and the Gacha Gaming subreddit, trying to defend SAG-AFTRA and the SAG-AFTRA VAs, but no one believed the manipulations, those posts completely failing and getting called out, to which the posts ended up getting deleted, and I think some people said the whole account got deleted too. Well, as mentioned, people alleged that was Sean Laraway. We then saw Sean Laraway on his Blue Sky account saying, the Genshin Impact subreddit deserves to be banned at this point, and a number of other rage posts. Sean Laraway had also reposted that post from Zane Shachat, the one that I included a moment ago, which you may have already seen, had that message above that says reposted by Sean Laraway. Well, after people criticized him, it looks like he also deleted his whole Blue Sky account or temporarily deactivated or something. Now,
God, I love it when they fucking nuke their entire account. That's
back,
shit right there.
In some kind of protected mode, requiring people to be logged into Blue Sky to see the profile at all. So yeah, just thought you guys might find that amusing. Let
they
me know
scurry away and they hide.
And this
classic
other VA
Blue Sky
harassment stuff
behavior.
too. And now we've got another astonishing take from a VA. That one being Kayli Mills once again. And
wait,
yeah,
what? Oh, she's like the voice of Alice from
So we
South.
have a tweet from Princess OXOX. And the tweet is basically talking about how messed up these Genshin English VAs are, as well as their massive amounts of hypocrisy, how they'll say terrible things about Jacob Takanashi, harassing him, advocating for others to harass him, etc., but then defend people in their clique, and of course being really quick to also turn around and falsely play victim. Princess OX including this screenshot of a tweet from Kayli Mills from just yesterday on April 1st, and presumably going on to further insult
Nobody buys this argument except other bards. Nobody gives a shit about it.
Jacob Takanashi while defending Corina the VA for Paimon, who many people have pointed out is a hypocrite for
It's like literally a bard in the tavern saying like, you can't sing because you're not a bard. Because like, that's my job. I need to sing for work. So like you singing is like ruining my work. It's freaking ridiculous.
To work on Genshin Impact. And
like they have like a
also
fucking monopoly on it.
Scab, according to the Union VA's own definitions for these things. But
it's
they
so
can
cringe.
Shift the goalposts and defend Corina
it's so cringe and it's so out of touch.
And after Jacob.
Nobody normal sees this and is like, yeah. It's so entitled and fucking annoying, to be honest.
But Kayli Mills then says this in the screenshot. This is one small job for him, not his full-time work. It's Corina's bread and butter.
Yeah, so because she needs it to survive, no one else can do it, basically.
He's done very little VO work, so it isn't what he's relying on to pay the bills. For all
yeah, he's new, so he's new, trying to break into industry, so fuck him, basically.
We know his wife's the breadwinner. Either way, they bought a house recently, so I doubt it was a necessary job for survival.
Yeah, so fuck him, right? Because he has stuff and she doesn't, so fuck him.
This is such an awful look.
It's terrible.
I can't believe Kayli is out here making tweets like this. I mean, I can because
it's crazy because like what I was trying to say is like the average person is gonna look at this and be like, you're fucking out of your mind.
This is consistent.
Like the amount of entitlement like in this is crazy.
to the sort of tweets that Kayli and other VAs, a part of SAG-AFTRA, have been making, and not just SAG-AFTRA VAs, but also their supporters. How tone deaf do you have to be to make a tweet like this?
Exactly.
Like, what an insane thing to say. Now, some important additional information. In the full screenshot by Princess OX, you can see that Kayli got a response from this Noe person that says, "It's all good. I like your work generally.
So true.
However, I think that talking very deliberately about a colleague's financial situation in a public way is not something that looks good." The reason this is important is because it looks like Kayli has actually deleted that tweet, presumably after getting backlash for it. And the reason we took a look at that tweet from Noe, or however you say their name, my bad if that's not correct, is because we can search that tweet and indeed see that that tweet was responding to a tweet that's now deleted, which is, of course, most likely to be Kayli Mills' tweet, the one that we just went over. Further backing that up is that Kayli Mills responded to Noe, saying, "I'm basing this off a public post someone else reposted. I know nothing about his personal situation that isn't 100% public."
I'm basing on this post. Okay.
Other people would then respond to Kayli, saying things like, "So he might actually have personal financial issues."
Yeah, exactly. You're making a bunch of fucking assumptions about the person, like what they actually want to do in their life and stuff. You're making a ton of assumptions just to shit on them, basically. And this is really out of touch and annoying.
That he hasn't made public, which you don't know about. An action is judged by its results, but judging people by their actions without complete, accurate, up-to-date info about their reasoning seems irresponsible to me. It's just very unprofessional.
These people are so fucking entitled. It's unreal.
And toxic behavior. In my opinion, it's
like, do they even listen to the shit that they say come out of their mouth?
These are grown adults acting like this.
You would think they would, because they're you know, they're
joke. Even more so because it's been like an entire group of people backed by one of the most powerful unions, all going after one single dude, one individual, Jacob Takanashi. What they didn't account for was that the internet would see through their agenda.
Yup, exactly.
We'll very briefly take a look at a few more responses. This one reading,
"This guy's probably such a fucking hero now because everybody probably sees that a guy is getting bullied. Everyone can see that. And people don't like it when people get bullied. So everyone's probably on this guy's side. He's probably like a fucking hero now. They're like a bunch of people."
Disgusting behavior. Well, now it's out there in the open for all to see. Classic #1 trait of a narcissistic person. Please seek help. This is such
Stop it. Get some help.
A loser behavior. Oh no. Small job. He has 2 kids, you disgusting freak. He has a family to care
Kayli Mills does voices in Grand Blue. I play JP, so.
for, and 2 English VAs are raining on your
None of this affects me at all. I play JP every time.
high horses. The audacity to judge someone's life as if you're some kind of god. Manipulation, gaslighting, stalking, false accusation, harassment. What, crimes next? I mean, based off some of the stuff we were seeing being said over on Blue Sky, that's might not be too far off, really. All right, so we're gonna move on from that part of the video. Let me know what you think about all that Kayli Mills stuff in the comments. And now we actually have a little bit of an update to go over regarding the VA for Paimon. You see, there was this post from 15 hours ago on our Genshin Impact titled,
"Take a drink,
I talked to Paimon's VA. And as you can see, the person who made the post ended up deleting the whole thing. However, thanks to the user Jinxed and Cursed, we can still see allegedly what the post had read. Jinxed and Cursed. Yeah, I'm predicting this one is going to be nuked soon. It should still be prime time in California right now, so I'm going to mirror prematurely. Now, to be quite frank, some of this stuff is a little bit boring and wordy, and it's not as interesting to take a look at, given how the OP and the screenshots are deleted.
Fucking,
so I'm going to kind of skip through to what seems to be the most interesting points, or parts rather. And we'll begin here, where the OP had said, "What is your personal opinion on the situation? Is there anything you would like to say to the community?" Karina's alleged response.
I don't know if it was her, but some Genshin voice class 06. But isn't class 06 about high school? It probably fit like perfectly then.
Reading, "I'm very well aware that the Genshin community hates me. That's fine. They're entitled to have that opinion. But they cannot claim to be supportive of actors if all of the actors, both non-union and union, want the game to be union." The OP making this personal note that reads, "This claim has no evidence.
Yeah, where's the evidence?
Only the actors outspoken have been in staunch support from what we know." Karina allegedly going on to say,
and also it doesn't even matter because so the reason why this doesn't matter is because even if all of the VAs in the thing want it to be a union project, that still does effectively lock out people from other countries. So the game company being against that is, I mean, the game company being against that is like, it's still in their right to be against that. And it is like still like anti-competition, right? So,
and they are screaming and talking over actors. They cannot claim to be against AI if they are against the SAG video game strike.
Again, see, they're taking that issue and they're putting it to the forefront when they're combining it with a bunch of other shit that people don't want.
the OP then saying another.
Again, this is like classic playbook. They fucking confuse, they smoke bomb, they confuse everything to like make it about an issue that like that people actually are sympathetic towards, and then they add a bunch of shit in that people don't want, and then they try to lump it in as the same issue.
Personal note, most people on here seem to be against SAG's tactics during the strike, not the strike itself. Back.
The B Fitness V2 says, if it's for replacing dumb fucks like these, I'm all for AI. And you know what? I think that sentiment is actually growing. I've seen that sentiment a lot, B Fitness. I think before this happened, I think a lot of people were more like, yeah, like, oh, we don't really want AI in voice acting. Like we want people to do it. I think that was more the predominant thing, but you can sort of see it shifting. I've seen multiple people say that.
To Corina, they don't have to like everything about SAG, but SAG is the only true way we are protected. So yeah, in my opinion, it's a ridiculous claim to say that you cannot be against AI if you don't support SAG's video game strike. Obviously, people can be against voice actors or anyone having their voice ripped and used for AI without their consent. That doesn't therefore mean that you're obligated to support SAG-AFTRA's video game strike specifically, especially with all the various problems it has with it and how corrupt it all seems and how toxic these VA members have been. And lastly, this was also really interesting. So there was a post titled, Paimon's English VA Corina says the entire Genshin voice cast wasn't paid for an entire year.
What?
Unfortunately, this also hit with that message, post is awaiting moderator approval, so perhaps this was mass reported or whatever's been going on. The good news is, if you type this into Google, you can actually see the post apparently pop up right here, which reads, according to one of Corina's comments in the TikTok posted here, there was a period in the past where every single voice actor, regardless if in a union, working on Genshin Impact, wasn't paid for an entire year, seemingly only because the game was a non-union project. Doesn't make sense.
What?
We can see top responses reading, if the whole cast wasn't paid for over 1 year, I feel like more people would have spoken about it.
Yeah, what the fuck?
Unless they think Paimon counts as the whole cast. Unless there was some sort of NDA in place. Yeah, there's no way we wouldn't have heard about it. They raised hell over one guy getting recast. If they were going unpaid, the entire planet would know. Unpaid for a year. Corina spoke up about it publicly during the incident we all know where Corina had to be transferred to a different studio. No NDAs broken there. Doesn't logically make sense. And NDAs are not enforceable if a crime was committed, which not getting paid for a year counts. For real, Genshin has a cast of over 90 characters and countless NPCs and quest characters. There's a 0% chance not a single person
this
got
doesn't
paid,
track.
and everyone just kept quiet for a year.
I mean, who knows?
As we know.
Who knows? It could be true, but I mean, this requires this is a big claim, so it requires big evidence.
These VAs are not under any kind of contract with Hoyo, as past few days show how relaxed they are talking smack about their employers. This is quite literally impossible. I don't know what she's smoking, thinking this was going to convince anyone. Yeah, sure, the people who won't stop screeching over a Japanese dude voicing a Genshin character would surely keep quiet about not getting paid for over a year. They made a huge fuss about Natlon, but couldn't bother complaining about their pay? LMAO. I think that's referencing the old Natlon Genshin boycott thing.
I don't know much about it, but I think what they're talking about is there was an entire thing where they released a new area that was kind of had some, I guess, more ethnic inspiration, and people were mad at people's skin tones or something.
That many of the VAs were publicly supporting and completely failed and went nowhere. And furthermore, apparently it was actually Hoyoverse that helped Corina settle this entire matter with Formosa. Anyways, I'll leave it there, and my apologies if this video was a bit rushed. We've got an update from voice actress Kayli Mills. You see, it looks like Kayli Mills has actually deleted her entire Twitter account. Indeed, if you do go over to that account, it says this account does not exist.
Ooh.
Who knows if this is a temporary action or something that she permanently maintaining.
Deleted.
As we have seen a voice actor who got Backlash previously deactivate his entire Blue Sky account, but then come back after a day or two, except putting it in some kind of protected mode. So I guess only time will tell if Kayli returns to Twitter and when that would be, if ever. But before she left, there were a number of statements made that were very interesting, specifically late last night, providing some apparent insight into the way SAG-AFTRA, the union, operates. This statement being referred to as kind of a mask-off moment. People saying, and there it is. But let's take a look at that comment from last night that I mentioned. The one that people are once again referring to as a mask-off moment. You can see this person asking Kayli Mills, why does no one ever address, in this context no one is likely referring to voice actors from SAG-AFTRA specifically or their defenders, why does no one ever address the fact
this guy's cooking
bothers people the most? The fact that it's end up in a US-based monopoly.
This is what I was
saying. And making employing future non-union, non-US based VAs hell.
Exactly. This basically gives an unfair advantage to like the US and makes it so other voice actors that speak English around the world are going to have a hard time getting a job. What is this US main character syndrome?
What is this US main character syndrome? And why is it fine to be a scab for Nikki when others strike it? To which Kayli Mills made this response. SAG quote unquote winning means that their contracts will all have AI protections going forward. It does not make every game union. Also, I've worked on several union games with international talent. A game going union does not bar that talent from working.
Okay.
Technically, here's the real important part. Technically, no union actor should work non-union at all, but we do. All the time.
So basically, like, you want to sign up for a thing where they can... So what they're basically saying is like, listen, guys, give us the power. We promise not to use it. That's basically what it is. It's like, we promise not to use it. And then, they will eventually, right? They'll use it when they feel like it.
It's always been that way in VO. It's not necessarily quote unquote fine, but it is still very different from taking an existing role from someone who vacated that role, withholding work for AI protections. That part, of course, likely referring to Jacob Takanashi getting hired for the role of Kinich. Important context, the previous VA had seemingly not worked.
And again, like, they keep using this AI protections thing when this isn't even like the main issue.
That role for a period of around 6 months. So
they can't stop saying it because they know that that's how they can get that's how they know they can get sympathy from the general public, because everybody can relate to like not wanting to get replaced by AI. A lot of people can relate to that.
Hoyo waits like 6 months
Automation.
to fill the role. Half a year later, they're like, okay, we got to move on. Final part of this reads, that's why you don't see anyone calling out any of the actors announcing their new non-union roles. It's because while as much solidarity as possible helps the cause, no one really expects everyone to be
there it is.
perfect allies. 7 hours ago, this got her posted once again on our Genshin Impact. That post becoming...
See, there it is. They'll call you out when, they'll call you out when they feel like it. When they need to, they'll use it against you. But you know what? Like, you can do it on the side and no one will say anything until we have a reason to go after you. That's exactly what I said. It was going to be the problem.
With the title, there it is, saying she admitted they've been breaking the rules and are now expecting Hoyo to fix their mistakes. And also, apparently, many of them have been making union rates. So some people have been misleading the community, that too. A second screenshot provided in that post reading from Jared, hey, Kayli.
Dude, this is actually like so fucking... I don't know how else to explain it, but it's like a fucking virus where they sneak in there. And then they're like, yeah, you know what? It's fine. Like, we can work non-union. They get in there. And then when they get enough of them in there, they're like, we're turning it union now. It's actually crazy.
I understand the union was not enforcing the Global One rule.
And then now they're going to fucking enforce it in order to get their way. Because now they have the leverage. They snuck their way in there by being non-union. And then now they're like, just kidding, we're union.
But did MiHoYo negotiate you/other union VAs with union rates? I apologize if the question is intrusive, but it's one variable brought up in arguments that I can't really verify. Kayli apparently responding, saying, hi, yes, although the game is non-U, many of us are making the union rate. A top comment in that post reading, I really don't want to defend a billion-dollar company who could quite clearly defend itself without my input, but are you telling me said company had been paying in union rates despite being non-union? Had formally stepped in and changed an unpaid actor's studio when they learned they weren't being paid? That likely referring to the whole Corina Boettger thing. We actually discussed that at the end of yesterday's video too. Had been patiently delivering unvoiced events and stories at the expense of users within nearly a...
And that's the thing too, the expense of users basically, right? Because this affects like the customers.
Year at this point, had signed on different studios with AI protections written in their contracts without any fuss.
If I was MiHoYo, I'd go full AI like right now. I'd be like, fuck this, I'm not dealing with this shit anymore. All of you guys get fucked. That's what I would do.
And they want me to believe them that this company is...
And the thing is the community sentiment, there's going to be a lot of people that are like okay with that now. Because they've had to deal with this bullshit, right?
Problem? Like, come on. Hoyo has better worker rights and takes care of all its employees better than what their union...
And again, like the main reason I say that is because all of this bullshit, basically, right?
Who, to everyone working with an actual good union, looks on in horror at...
Oh, Chinese law stop them, I see.
Could do to represent them. But dang, why is Shara...
Either that or never hire anyone from America ever again. Like literally, if I were in charge and then you told me like, hey, Leaflit, you're consulting for this company. Give us your advice. Like, what do you think we should do? I would definitely say like, never hire people from America again. If like, obviously like I love America and obviously I'm American and I love America. But like, if my goal was to give like the best advice to this company and moving forward, that would be the advice.
Angry and saying they've been underpaid. Why is Corina going off the rails and telling people they need Genshin to be union to get union pay? What the frick is going on? Yeah, if they're referring to that Shara Kirby or Shara Kirby person, that was hilarious too. That whole blue sky rant was insane. Icing on the cake.
Yeah, never hire union folk again. Have it in your fucking contract that, like, if you're union, you can't join this.
Because how I got that Shara Kirby comment from 2 weeks ago.
Or that too, yeah.
On my video initially talking about all the SAG-AFTRA backlash, how their strike was failing. Trying to say that my video was misinformation and basically telling me not to make videos on the topic. Yeah, that aged terribly, didn't it? But now here's what's really important. Going over specific policies and what can be seen as contradictions within the union and the rhetoric of this specific clique of voice actors. Because as Kayli Mills said, technically no union actor should work non-union at all.
Yep.
But we do, all the time. It's always been that way in VO. You can see on SAG-AFTRA.org the Global One Rule, something which we've discussed plenty of times in the past, but just for clarity, let's read it one more time. Global Rule 1 states, no member shall render any services or make an agreement to perform services for any employer who has not executed a basic minimum agreement with the union, which is in full force and effect in any jurisdiction in which there is a SAG-AFTRA national collective bargaining agreement in place.
Jeez.
This provision applies
like a fucking mafia, dude.
Worldwide. Add the subtext. Simply put, a SAG-AFTRA member must always work under a union contract around the globe. According to the actions that Kayli Mills has explained, this can be seen as quite a double standard, but things get even worse. Hopping over to SAG-AFTRA.org once again on a different page, we can take a look at specifically...
Oh my god, are they literally going to say what I said?
What's called union...
Do they literally have... No. Do they literally have a virus strat? No fucking way.
They provide a quote that reads, as a union member, I'm not allowed to audition for non-union work. And
they're literally the Borg. No fucking way.
Wrong. You are allowed to audition for non-union work. However, you cannot work without a union contract.
Okay.
Audition, get the part, you're likely to stand out in a non-union crowd. Once you're offered the role, explain that you can't do the role unless it's union. Let the producer know that going union is not nearly as complicated.
Holy fuck. They said it right there in plain text.
Or expensive. As
they just admitted in plain text.
You might imagine.
Bro.
Staff is right here in Texas to help with the paperwork. That arguably contradicts the global.
It's parasitic, yeah. Holy shit.
However, even if someone wants to make the argument that it's technically not, in that case, it still comes off as a rather scummy move. But it still gets even worse. We can see the text below that reading, fact, you are encouraged to audition for non-union work because 1, non-union producers get a chance to see amazing talent they wouldn't otherwise see. 2, when you land that job and get a union contract, you turn that non-union production union.
Dude.
3, you can help organize more work by sharing information about...
What did I tell you about the vampires and the virus? I told you.
Non-union producers or companies with union staff so they can inform them about our contracts. It all comes off as rather underhanded, shady, and manipulative. This seems to be what's been basically playing out with...
Clockwork Hell Guy says, I've never seen a compelling argument against unions until I started watching Leaflit. I'm glad I showed up tonight. Yeah, I mean, it's not like unions. So unions aren't theoretically a bad thing. It's just, again, it's like I always say, you have to account for human nature. Human nature inherently corrupts things. All humans, all it takes is one human to corrupt it, basically. Once one human starts corrupting everything, then everything else gets corrupted. That's the problem, is you always have to account for the worst actors in society, not actors as in like, what I mean is like the worst, the people with the worst actions. You have to always account for that whenever you do something. And you know this inherently, like if you like design games, because you know that you always have to look out for the one person that's going to like try to manipulate and try to game the rules. You have to make everything like as airtight as possible because there's always going to be that one guy that's going to try to like kind of game the system, right? Yeah.
Hoyoverse. A number of the VAs who've been working with Hoyoverse have been a part of the union. But then all the AI stuff popped up and they apparently saw this as a great opportunity to try and manipulate a narrative of needing AI protections. But in reality, it seems like the real goal was trying to flip Hoyoverse into being a solely union project. And this goes back to what many people have been saying about the whole AI protection thing, really looking like a Trojan horse, so to speak. All of this amplified.
Shymoth says the inherent problem with unions is that they are the check on the company by allowing workers to gain strength in the collective. However, there are little to no checks on unions to prevent them from abusing both their own members and companies they touch. So it inevitably leads to abuse of power. Yeah, exactly. Basically, unions can go corrupt in the same way that like in the same way the employer abuses their power, so can the union abuse their power once they have a foothold. So that's why you see a lot of cases where I think Walmart does this, where if one Walmart store tries to go union, they just close the whole store. Is that true? I'm pretty sure it is. Does Walmart close stores that union? I'm pretty sure they do. Walmart has a history of actively opposing unionization efforts. A store closed shortly after workers tried to attempt to unionize. So there's no like hard evidence, but a lot of circumstantial evidence that it's the case. Again, so allegedly they do this. And honestly, I would too. I would too, because you don't want like one of them for this to happen, and then it spreads to the other stores, basically. They don't want to deal with it.
Even further, with how, as we just went over, a number of these VAs have even been disparaging.
But then again, like I said, like
in the case of Kirby,
like I said, is that always a good thing? No, because the company can also, abuse our workers, right? So it's kind of like it sucks because they're both bad. They both can be bad. Because there's companies that like are good, right? And they don't do this. They don't abuse their workers. There's obviously companies like that, right? And then there's employers that don't do that. And then there's employers that do. And then there's unions that don't abuse, their power. And then there are those that do. But you have to balance for the ones that abuse. That's the problem. You have to balance the game based on the abuse cases.
F Hoyoverse, and that's putting it lightly. She said also a lot more than that. When, if anything, Hoyoverse has been extremely kind to these people. And what about the people who've been supporting these voice actors? They've essentially been getting used like tools from these people too. Gaslit and manipulated, trying to get these people to go around and support their agenda without question. And then when people look into it and begin questioning things, they get treated terribly as well. It's been a terrible look for the SAG-AFTRA VAs. All this has backfired tremendously, but that's something we all surely already know by now. So let me know what you think about those policies and the updates regarding Kayli Mills herself, the statement that she made late last night, and then the deletion of her entire account shortly after. In the next part of this video, we'll now take a look at what our CN bros have to say more recently about all this stuff. In a post from 22 minutes ago on our Genshin Impact, Boy King is back at it once again, saying, CN Billy community reaction to newest VA drama. Kaching VA tweet, SAG-AFTRA's quote-unquote encouragement. Yeah, people in CN really want to see how you react to them now. This whole note passing thing, at CN they described this as a message in a bottle. I think they also said something about like paper notes, right? Like passing paper notes is really becoming a meme. Anyways, I put the two different vids/topics together, and here they are. Please don't nuke me. Disclaimer, the comments do not necessarily reflect the entirety of the CN community's opinion, and this first section seems to be specifically about Kaching VA tweet. That being this tweet, which we discussed yesterday and I showed in this video a few times too. The one, once again, that said, this is one small job for him, not his full-time work. It's Corina's bread and butter. He's done very little VO work, so it isn't what he's relying on to pay the bills. For all we know, his wife's the breadwinner. Either way, they bought a house recently, so I doubt it was a necessary job for survival. What the CN community has to say about that. I feel so bad for EN dub players. Not only they had to play with mute characters, but they now have to see their favorite characters get recast because of this whole drama. Well, the bright side of it is a lot of people seem like they would be eager to get those recasts if they do happen at this point in time. Let me recall. What were some reasons that CN VAs flamed recently? One was flamed because the character skin was too expensive. Some were playing the wrong game. Some showed their affection for a character. Compared to EN/JP drama, the reasons in CN are like child's play. The NVAs are so strange. They're acting like Hoyo is begging them, and only them to voice the characters. Yeah, talk about an ego. This is also a messed up thing in CN ACG community. Anime Comic Games community, I think. Some people like to compare everything with their fantasized foreign world to hate on CN stuff. This is reminding me of the ancient days when Genshin CN VAs were being doxxed. We need harsher punishment for doxing.
Yes.
Dang, did the VAs catch a bullet for Dawe or something? How are they like this? It's probably just troublesome to recast. There's going to be too much work. Was able to get recast because he's recent. It's not that easy. EN strikes don't follow protocol. It'll be hard for the company unless we find a new one and recast everything. Doxing? Isn't this illegal? Can't Kenich's new VA sue them? The amount of crazy VAs at the EN community, dang. Good thing I don't use EN. As a Kaching stan, I'll be so sad.
Damn.
I probably should have said this sooner for anyone who doesn't know, but Kaching's VA is Kayli Mills. Maybe I said that earlier, I don't remember at this point.
I don't think you said that.
Wow, this is becoming a daily report, huh? At this rate, Hoyo surely has to come out and separate them, right? Doxing is already in gray areas. There's no way you can't say anything about it. I'm just curious now how many VAs they'll recast. All of them together? Or just the worst ones and negotiate with the union?
No, you can't do doxing? That. If you're going to do that, you have to go all the way. You have to completely remove all of it, basically. Otherwise, this is just going to happen again at some point in the future.
These public figures? Is this something you can really do and say in public? I can't with these people anymore. They need to stop getting high before posting these stuffs. Now I'm having a stereotype for ENVAs. Wait, is this like a meme? Oh yeah, look at this, a meme from a Billy user. Some professional VA. What was your mission in Shanghai? Freaking Kayli Mills in the meme beating Jacob Takanashi.
Oh my god,
SAG-AFTRA in the background just watching with approval. The next section is regarding SAG-AFTRA's quote-unquote encouragement to let union workers join non-union projects. This means something that we discussed earlier in the video. Let's see what the CN community has to say about this one. Come on, do some actual capitalism, would they?
Exactly.
This ancient mafia stuff is getting ridiculous.
It is. Because what it does is it makes there's less competition. They're trying to basically monopolize the situation, so there's less competition for themselves, which obviously lowers the quality of the product overall for the end user.
Have you considered, though, that the union is doing exactly the capitalist stuff? They claim they're pressuring Hoyo for workers' rights, but it's all for their own interests. And look at how they're stripping away the non-union VA's opportunities. In the end, all they're doing is bullying the non-union workers and the incompetent companies. And when it's with the bigger companies,
it's not really free market to do that.
The union nowadays is no longer the union that used to actually fight for all workers before they had to fight, or else they wouldn't even have survived.
I feel like almost every union eventually turns. I feel like it always starts out with like some a good cause, like a good idea, and like coming out of like people being abused, and then like it slowly turns over time once they build up enough power.
And now they're living good, and yet now they're trying to prevent others from living good in order to fill up their own pockets. This is capitalism. Basically, the union right now is also a type of scab. Scab, my friend, this is a syndicate. Have you considered that this is a product of capitalism? Well, this is capitalism. The VAs are just...
EX Count says unions need a sunset clause. That's actually probably a really good idea.
Their tools to squeeze. So that's interesting. It seems like some of them are saying this is all the fault of capitalism.
I haven't thought about it like in depth, but I feel like that might be a good idea.
Like mafia stuff, some syndicate stuff. It's also interesting that, as we've seen over the years, even despite SAG-AFTRA itself, a number of English...
What's a sunset clause? A sunset clause means that the union is formed for this period, and the terms involved... The terms in the union basically only exist for a set period of time, and then after that set period of time lapses, then it's over. The union dissolves itself, basically.
Turn voice actors have a tendency of just being extremely toxic people anyways. All right, so that was very fun. Thank you, Boy King, as always, for getting those comments, translating them, and posting them. And let me know what you all think about that stuff, as well as what we went over.
How do you guys think this is going to end, chat?
Hope you enjoyed today's coverage. If you...
How do you think this is going to end? Okay, that's the last one. So there's one more from today, apparently? Oh, it's this one. All right. How do you guys think this ends? Do you think they say fuck it and they just nuke everybody? All right, here we go. The last one in the saga for now.
Guys, thank you for tuning in. Hope you've had a great weekend. And I gotta come clean about something, okay?
Okay.
I was already in the middle of making this video, but it was all so stupid that I was actually at a loss for words like half the time. And I ended up deleting the video because it was just coming out so messed up, because this whole thing is so freaking unbelievable, to be quite frank. So do you remember that Corina, the VA for Paimon, do you remember that Corina video that she made on TikTok where she was like crashing out, getting all angry, all mad?
YouTubers don't know anything. YouTubers don't know anything. They're not voice actors. They've never been in my industry. They don't know what my industry is about. They don't know anything about SAG. They don't know anything about being a non-union actor either. They have more incentive to lie. They have more of an incentive to lie because idiots like you fall for their shit and they get paid for that. Hello? So nobody else's opinion that is super fucking wrong anyway matters.
Yeah.
Hope this helps.
So yeah, that Crashout video.
It's wrong because of who you are, not because my argument is good. Classic.
The one I already discussed last week. Played the whole thing last week and explained.
You're wrong because you don't know anything, because you don't, and you don't know anything because you're wrong.
Why my opinion or take is terrible. And I also presented a theory about what that Crashout video was specifically referring to, because a lot of people thought it was about the Jacob Takanashi stuff.
But it wasn't.
In fact, that Crashout video occurred before then.
I'm not ready
and
for this.
She was instead probably crashing out over a video that either I made around a month ago, or a video / short that YouTuber Darkos88 made also around a month ago. For anyone curious who hasn't seen my full theory on that, I will link the video where I explain that all in more detail in the description for you, with the timestamp to that part. But back to the main topic for this video. Now that we had a quick refresher about Corina's Crashout video, there was a Reddit post I saw yesterday where apparently over on Blue Sky, Corina was saying that video, the Crashout video, was actually AI. Let's take a look at this. This person on Blue Sky, Noah Gibson, says, OMG, Corina liked my post. Hi, Corina. I support you, but I just think your TikTok was a bit bad though. It was just the calling them stupid part. That was the equivalent of Biden calling MAGA garbage, resulting in cash poor winning. You both should have taken Marge's advice. The gif of Marge that they include saying, that's true, but you shouldn't say it. To which Corina responds, oh, by the way, I have learned that the TikTok you were talking about was AI. It was not my original TikTok. So yeah, maybe don't listen to Reddit at all. A response from the user Corn saying, did you watch it or are you just letting people lie to you now? It's quite literally from your TikTok account. And another user Diamond saying, Corina is full of it and trying absolutely anything to try and discount any criticism.
So she posted an AI of herself? She got hacked?
It's working about as well as you see here. And yeah, most people are calling Corina out for this. However, some people are actually just believing what Corina says.
No.
Like, they'll just believe anything, apparently. We'll get more into that later. But first, let's continue with the context, because Noah Gibson returns and says, so this is AI and you've never said this? I agree that YouTubers don't know anything though. And linking to a Reddit post about the Corina Crashout video, to which Corina responds and says, yes, that is AI. And yes, the YouTubers do know it. They just don't care. So according to that post, it seems like Corina is saying that the crash out video isn't real. That's not actually her crashing out. That's obviously just AI. The YouTubers talking about it, they know it's AI. They're just like malicious or something. They're just trying to manipulate people by posting and talking about this AI video that they know is fake or something. Yeah, I remember the beginning of this video where I said I already recorded all this and like gave up on the first attempt because this is all so stupid.
Yeah, what the fuck?
Exactly. Noah Gibson then responds to Corina and says, all they care about is grifting, the outrage for clicks. That's all YouTube is these days. So apparently this person, the voice actor,
anyone that has a take I don't like is grifting.
Who's like publicly making false accusations about people, that's totally fine, right? But anyone talking about the crash out video is just grifting. Like, they're the problem. These people are actually nuts. Like, this is just insanity. Fortunately, the majority of people aren't like that.
We need to bring back insane asylums, I think. I think it's time, guys. I think it was a mistake. I think that experiment was a mistake. We need to
and are in fact
bring them back
out. For example, this person, average Asian elephant, saying, it's quite literally on your page. Why are you lying? You're just digging a bigger hole for yourself. Another user, Repsu, saying, my dog ate my homework at response. And someone below that's just laughing at her. Oh, my bad. Forgot the one above that too. Says, at least delete your TikTok before this.
Wait, is it actually on there? Wait, she left it up? It's like still on her TikTok? No way.
What's all so much even more hilarious is that what Corina said there would actually get reposted to the Gaming Circle Jerk subreddit. For those that don't know, that subreddit is basically full of modern audience types who constantly lick the boots of corporations.
Oh, I was on there. Remember that guy? Dude, my hater got banned. You guys hear about my hater? There was a guy that was like hating on me, and he was like posting all my videos on Gaming Circle Jerk, and then he got banned. It was unfortunate, man. I was always excited to see what he was going to say next, but he got banned, unfortunately. I was rooting for him, to be honest.
And will take a stance against gamers, no matter what stance that is. For example, like last month, when a lot of gamers were critiquing Ubisoft and AC Shadows, that subreddit was constantly defending Ubisoft and AC Shadows. Like I said, basically their entire thing is gamer bad. And they don't even circle jerk, like they're actually serious about it. They've completely lost the plot. We can see that here, for example, in the aforementioned post, which reads, Corina, the voice of Paimon, confirms that the Genshin subreddit used AI for her to spread misinformation.
Okay.
I love how her just being flat out wrong is confirming. That post also getting over 1,000 upvotes and becoming a top post there for the day. One of the top responses there says, I'm going to say this once. This is, or at least should be, considered defamation.
It should be.
Complete lying
if it's
made
true.
to tear down someone's reputation. This is the very definition of defamation. Except that didn't happen. And the person lying here is actually Corina. However, the Genshin subreddit would ultimately find out that they were getting talked about over on Gaming Circle Jerk, with users back over on the Genshin Impact subreddit saying things like, I think it's dumb to try and lie and say this was AI when it's clearly not. And even dumber for Gaming Circle Jerk for falling for such an obvious lie. Gaming Circle Jerk falls for anything you tell them, as long as it fits their goal, which seems to be 90% politics and 10% random stuff. Honestly, quite good for a laugh. There are no humans in that sub. Got curious and skimmed through the comments there. I shouldn't have. Some of the Genshin Impact subreddit users then going over to Gaming Circle Jerk and refuting what they say there. For example, back on the Gaming Circle Jerk post about Corina, and the comment we took a look at a moment ago saying, this should be considered defamation, they would get a response that reads, how is it defamation if they uploaded the supposed AI video? If it's AI, wouldn't they be a user of AI themselves? And the OP of the Gaming Circle Jerk Corina post saying, I think they meant a different video of an AI.
Hold up. Is that actually still up? No way.
Okay, here's the thing.
No!
Voice actors, both non-union and union.
Oh my god.
If voice actors, both non-union and union, in a video game want a game to go union, the game should go union. Nobody else's opinion matters. And YouTubers don't know anything.
Okay, hold on. Okay, the TikTok links to this account. Now let's see if I fucking, dude, I can't, bro. Oh man. Oh man.
Paimon
Oh
calling out
man.
Corina
Oh man.
directly.
Oh man.
She's been really tired from being at the hospital all weekend, I'm sure. Someone else says, LMAO, the video they're talking about is obviously the TikTok one. It's in the picture. I think y'all need to learn how to read. It doesn't fit their narrative, so of course they refuse to read. However, back on Blue Sky, there would be a bit of a plot twist.
I play it almost all the time, almost always in Japanese, Leva. Almost
So
every
we already
time.
read this part where Noah Gibson linked the Crashout video over on Reddit, to which Corina said, yes, that's AI, and yes, the YouTubers do know it, they just don't care. Corin then saying, is this not your TikTok account? And linking to that very video on her very TikTok account. Noah Gibson once again commented saying, Corina, this is bad. You got it.
Oh my God, dude.
Another user, Patrick, would say, there was a post about a smaller channel that used AI, not for this TikTok, referring to the Crashout video, presumably. It's a different video, which Tectone watched on stream. My guess is maybe things got mixed up, and Corina didn't check this Reddit link, to which Corina actually responds and says, is exactly what happened. So you're telling me that Tectone watched a video where someone used AI to make Paimon say something, which in fact that video does exist and I'll show you in a moment, but you're telling me that for some reason that video got posted to Reddit. Maybe it did, maybe it didn't, but I can't find that Reddit post. Allegedly that's a thing though. And you're telling me Corina knows about that Reddit post. And then on Corina's Blue Sky, when people were linking a Reddit post that's very clearly not about that, but about her Crashout video, and we can all see very clearly that Corina responded to that saying that's AI. That somehow she thought that Reddit post, which again was very clearly about the Crashout video, was in fact not about the Crashout video, but instead about Tectone watching some AI Paimon on stream? How the frick do you even mix that up? And you know what? I am actually willing to give Corina benefit of the doubt. I'm willing to believe that she did mix those videos up, but I still don't understand how she mixed those two up when the post that she's responding to is so clearly about her Crashout video. And for her to then accuse YouTubers of knowing it's AI and saying that we just don't care when she's the one who's completely wrong about all this is just ridiculous. Like, dude, the frick are you doing? And let me also say that I apologize if I repeated some of my words right there. I've recorded this part multiple times too because all of this is so stupid that I'm having a hard time even putting it into words and like commenting on this. Here's the
Int dump stat? I thought it would have been like strength or con for sure, but I guess I was wrong.
last thing we'll take a look at from one day ago on Tectone's channel, More Tectone. We can see a video titled Paimon's voice actor faces Backlash. And the entire video is Tectone reacting to a video titled Paimon VA versus bootleg AI Paimon Genshin Impact announcement. And I'll play like 10 seconds of this for you to take a look at yourself. This is the one that apparently got posted to Reddit that somehow Corina knows about and somehow mixed up the Crashout video with or something. Yeah, you get the point.
Paimon herself roasting?
Hi, this isn't Paimon, or even her voice actor. I'm just the guy that redubbed Dragon Maid for fun a while back and got yeeted from the internet. This message is for Corina. You are an absolute worthless scab and a hypocrite. You are way worse than most scabs.
Ooh.
Most scabs are smart enough to shut up when they get caught flip-flopping
I mean, she's cooking, to be
on
honest.
their principles.
So yeah, there you go. And if we're to believe Corina, I find it hilarious that Tectone inadvertently caused Corina to have this ridiculous mix-up. We've now had Corina having a complete crash out over either my video or Darkos88's video or both of our videos. And now like an extremely ridiculous mix-up situation over this Tectone Paimon video thing, if once again we're to believe what Corina is saying apparently. And yeah, with that, I'm going to end this video. I cannot believe how long it took me to record this simple video. This was all just so much stupidity that I think I need to go full venti now and have a drink. And when I say a drink, I mean like 50. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed the coverage. Hopefully this made at least a little bit of sense.
Oh my god, that's
again, I
so
hope you enjoyed. Let me know what you
crazy.
think in the comments. If you did enjoy, consider liking and or subscribing. Appreciate you, and I'll see you in the next one.
I think that was the perfect way to end that freaking that season. What do you guys think? That was a perfect season finale. Man, I don't even know what to say. It's just like a crazy mix of entitlement and delusion.